Hello and welcome to Farming Simulator 17. I'm Andy and we are on Shamrock Valley episode 4, I guess. I think it's 4. So we're here and we're gonna go and sell this. This is at, what's the word it's called? Malone's farm shop. I think so. We're gonna sell it here. Just think you can drop it like that. See how much we make. Probably not a ton of money, but a little bit. 5,245. So okay, that's an okay amount, I think. What do you think? So anyway, let's go up to our see, I think it's here. Sorry, gonna go up to our number 3 field where we're ready to start harvesting of that field. So very cool track. I like this one. Fairly, but it's not fast at all actually. It's quite slow. I can live with that. Maybe I should go forward there. I will go, no, I will go south here. Sorry. I took the wrong turn there. I should have gone south. Yield. And I guess we'll go under here. I think, yeah, I think that. And on the other side, if we go on back to where we're coming from now, that car had this turn signal the other way. I'm pretty sure about that. And if you go where we came and continue there, you get the road goes over there, train tracks there, and here it goes under. So field 3 is up here somewhere, I think there. So we'll head on up there and we'll try and get some more harvesting going. Galway. So I wonder if this is. I should probably read up on that, if this is a real area or if it's a pretend area. Shamrock Valley sounds sort of, it sounds a bit made up, but I could be completely wrong there. It does sound a little bit made up. I have no idea. It's really hot in this room where I'm sitting. I have to remove my jacket. This really nice fleece. Really nice. It makes me look like Kermit, you know, the frog from the Muppet Show. It's sort of almost the same green color he had on his skin. So now that's removed. Just let's get this going. A little bit. So, and then we're gonna go and get our tractor in here. I don't go, oh no, sort of got around there. Where am I going here? No. So let's see. This is a bit bigger. I think this is slightly bigger than the other field. Maybe not a huge amount of bigger, but a little bit bigger. So, let's see, how is it going? So what's up? Having fun? Good time. Did the weekend pass nicely? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you do anything fun? Did you do anything special? I'm just curious. making conversation here. My weekend, I have no idea how it went because I'm recording this Friday evening, so maybe it went really nicely or maybe it wasn't nice at all. I have no idea. When this is released, I think I'm probably dropping off my kids at school and then going off to my school and we have this like I'm looking for the translation for the Swedish word. Well, like group task where you do a task and then you have given oral speech about that task. So we did our things together on Thursday, so it's done. We just today, when this is aired, not when it's recorded, but when it's aired, we'll be actually doing what's the word? So we'll be doing the presentation of what we did, our task. Cool, good to do that. I don't mind. I don't have that much trouble with actually speaking in front of people. That's sort of past. I spent 5 years being a teacher. 3 of them were at a smaller group class, smaller group of students, but the first one was in what would be high school or the secondary school. I think it's secondary school. And that was, you had a lot of different classes and a lot of students because I taught social services, but that's where I work. I taught what's the word for that? The subject which is about how society works, which the name I can't remember in English currently. And I taught psychology, which is what I studied. So, and then you have, if you at least psychology is a kind of small subject. I.e. the courses aren't that long, which means you have to have more of them to fill have a complete not set of classes, but complete set to complete your employment requirements. So I had a lot of classes. I taught a lot of classes, and then you get sort of used with talking in front of people. I don't get nervous as much. Hardly anything, a little bit, but not too much. So that sort of passed, or is under control. So I don't mind that. So, and for some reason they keep saying that we have to do give those oral presentations. So, but as I said, I don't mind that. So that's okay. I wonder if people do this from the inside. I don't know. So anyway, what we're going to talk about, I keep talking about my job or my school. So, actually, that is kind of interesting. Since I'm recording is Friday, when I was going to leave work today, I got this. My colleague had, she was quite upset because the police called her and was going to force her to give testimony in a case that she had pretty much nothing to do with. She was sometimes when a county, which is the level where social services is organized on in Sweden, sometimes when a county needs to do something in another county, they can go and do that, but if it's too far, they can ask the assistance of that county. So what happened is my colleague got asked to assist another county, and she did just one small thing, which you can hardly remember. So she did that one small thing, and then suddenly that was nothing. She did that, she completed it, reported it back to that county, and dropped it. It wasn't our case, so it had nothing to do with us. And then and then today the police called and was like, I want you to give testimony in this case concerning this crime. And she went like, because it's the second time that happened in like 2 weeks or something, which I never heard of. I have never heard. I've worked almost 16 years in social services. I've never heard of the police using that that part of the law, because it's a problem when they do that. It tends to basically undermine is the wrong word. It screws up the entire base for our work. So whatever we do after that is screwed up pretty much if it's our case. But anyway, so they called, so he was quite upset. So I spent probably like an hour and a half or so when I got home just reading up on the law and when they can do that and under what circumstances they can ask her to do that. And as it turns out, they can't ask her to do that. It's not within the law, or it's in the jurisdiction, but they can't. We are not allowed to reveal any information because it's covered by secrecy is the word, where confidentiality is probably the more correct term. Which means that if my colleague actually gives that information that the police want, then she will be committing a crime. And we don't want her to do that. I don't want her to do that. So I read up on the law, wrote everything down for her, and sent it to her so she knows how to act and what to look for. And she needs to make a decision, like a formal decision, if she can hand out the information she has, which isn't much, but still. And from my understanding, what I read in the law, they cannot claim that information in any way. So she'll ask for a written request from the police, and they will get a nice return decision from ours based within the law, because we follow the law, and like a refusal. That was right. Refusal. A decision that they cannot attain that information, which is perfectly within the law. And if we want to follow, I think in a civilized society we should follow the law. So they won't be able to get that information, and there'll be a nice decision about that, which they then in that case they can go to court and claim that that's wrong. But I can't really tell that anybody will have any success in that, because that it's not in the law. So that will just be a waste of time for them. Sometimes I like the police, don't get me wrong, I really like the police, but sometimes they have this sort of bananas idea that they have the right to everything. Maybe it's like it has with the nature of the job to do that. They tend to have a lot of jurisdiction and a lot of in Swedish it's called befogenheter, which just means the right to act within the law. They have a great deal of room to act within the law, but sometimes they don't really seem to understand the limits of law, and they tend to assert their authority just by being police officers, that's not the way society works. We have laws and they should be followed. So I love policemen, don't get me wrong, I really love policemen, but I can't really not following the law is not really an option. We can't disobey the law, and I find it kind of wrong if suddenly the police would have the right to just not follow the law. That's kind of their job to follow the law and to make sure other people follow the law. So and I also, there's like a small caveat here, if my colleague were to actually reveal that information, that would be a part of an official investigation. So stuff that are covered within the Secrecy Act would then be transferred into the open, which everyone in Sweden has the right to take part of. So everything would be open there, and also there would be very nice documentation showing that it was our fault that it's out in the open. So if the person goes to authorities and want to press charges, then we're pretty much screwed. I'm sorry for the word, and I don't think we're not going to put ourselves in that situation. I don't think that's appropriate for government, for a government agency as ours is. And just as on a personal note, on a personal level, I wouldn't want to put myself up to prosecution because I'm scared of the police. I'm not scared of the police that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. People not doing wrong shouldn't be scared of the police. People that are doing wrong should be scared of the police. So by following the law, I pretty much shouldn't be scared of the police. But I know how things goes. They will be pissed, and they will try to exert their authority somehow, and try to make us not follow the law because they think they have the right to something they don't have the right to. But I think, well, they learn, I guess. Or they'll just give it up. I think sort of. I really don't like the idea that police could just claim they want some information without a legal basis for it. I think that it doesn't exempt our agency from following the law, but I find it hard when police officers ask other agencies outside the law to do things. I had the other case that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, that suddenly the police went. They requested us to get a hold of this. Was it a young boy? This young boy's medical records. The police can't legally get a hold of those records. They don't have a use for them, and they can't really. It's hard to claim why that would be information needed in that sort of investigation that they do. We, on the other hand, we have the authority to get a hold of, in this case, that boy's medical records, and we often use that as part of our investigation because we have a different sort of investigation. It's not a criminal investigation. So, and the police suddenly, which I don't know if I'm gonna laugh or cry, or if I should be really pissed or mad at them, but they suddenly had this idea that we should get a hold of his medical records, and then they would ask us for them, so they would be released to police. And from the crime he is suspected of, that's a possibility. They could do that, but, and here's the thing, every government agency is separated from other government agencies. That is, the police can't govern what we will do as part of our investigation. So if we need those records, we'll ask for those records, but we won't ask for those records because they need them. Then you suddenly are on a very slippery slope legally, where you, I mean, if I want to be friends with the police, I could probably just ask for those records, and they will then in return ask for them from me, and I would have no other choice than to give them those records. The problem is that's a very slippery slope when it comes to rights, because then suddenly we can't really claim that our authority or our agency is separated as it should legally from the police. Then suddenly we are doing stuff that isn't really part of our job. Our job isn't to investigate criminal offenses. Not a lot. Sometimes it is a little bit, but that's very narrow in its scope, basically. So that should be, it's very narrow in its scope. So that was a big fat no for the police. I was like, that ain't happening. Oh, they want that. That ain't happening. And since I'm running that investigation, it's my choices, and I'm not making choices to because some other agencies want information they don't have the right to have. So some people go like, "Oh, you have to help the police. It's very important. Crime is very important," and it is. Don't get me wrong; it's very important. The police can do their job, but they have to see that police and social services have very different roles in society. The police role in Swedish society is to first try to make sure that crime doesn't arise. Then secondly, make sure that if crime arises, it's investigated. And thirdly, if someone have done something wrong, that they are brought into justice, basically. So that's their task. That's what they do, and that's what they are good at. Social services on the other side, we're just here to help people. It doesn't matter if you the person committed a crime or the person being was hurt by the crime. We have an equal responsibility for both groups. So our job is to help people, and the criminals. Our job is to help them not commit crimes, basically. So, and that's that. That means our scope of, or rather the time we usually have to work with these individuals is a much longer scope, sometimes during the entire life of that person, than police. Police show up, they do their job, if they try to get someone convicted, sometimes they get convicted, sometimes they don't get convicted, and then that's where it stops. So, and that means that they sort of tend to, good cops don't do that, policemen don't get me wrong, there are most police officers are brilliant people and really humanitarian people that generally likes people, and they make really sane decisions on good basis for what's best for individuals as in long term. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this they don't understand, they do understand, but they have a different scope of focus, different focus. So which means that they sometimes tend to focus a lot on short-term outcome, i.e. someone being convicted, which is fair enough, that's their job, that's an important job, don't get me wrong. But my scope, from my point of view and from the social services, isn't that. Our goals are always, or pretty much always, really long-term goals. We want people to succeed in society. Actually, basically, we could say that we want people to get jobs and be taxpayers, and that's important. And there's nothing wrong with that, but in order to be that, people can't commit crimes. And I mean, you need stuff, and people need to be fairly happy and manage school and that sort of stuff. So that's our scope. Our scope is long-term. Police officers always, when it comes to individual cases, much shorter in term. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way system works. But you have to be aware of that, because in criminal investigation, the choices the investigator does is based on that, and that goal, or that task that they have been given in society. Whereas my task is very much a different task than that. This has nothing to do with farming, I'm sorry. Most people probably don't like, what is he talking about, and can't he stop talking about it? I just find it really interesting. And my experience from the almost 16 years I worked in social services now is that people, both victims and perpetrators, tend to be screwed over by the whole criminal process. For my case, I usually meet, I'll meet equally both victims and perpetrators, but perpetrators, that's fair enough. If you committed a crime and you're sentenced for that, yeah, that's the way it is. I don't feel any pity for you, but it makes rehabilitation a bit harder sometimes. But the problem I have with victims is that victims are treated pretty poorly in criminal cases or criminal system, and it's hard to get around that, because usually if you say, well, someone is raped, in order to get a conviction they would have to testify, and in order to testify they would open themselves up to cross-examination from the defendant, the defense attorney. And there's no really way to get around that if you have a civilized criminal system, justice system, as we do, or we think we do at least. And a lot of times it won't lead to the conviction, and they will still be pretty wounded by the process. And sometimes even, and I met a lot of people during this years, I met a lot of victims, and they end up, the police, everyone is happy. They get, if they get a conviction, everyone is happy, but it doesn't really change what happened. So a lot of the victims I talked to tend to feel very screwed, in order, with a lack of another word, from the whole process. They thought that they would feel happy or content, or it wouldn't hurt as much when the process would run, but that's not the case. They still have to carry their memories and wounds with them. And sometimes, I'm not saying always, but sometimes, well, actually, I usually say that when we have students at my job, I usually tell them that our focus is the individual, and if the best thing for the individual is to do a police report and hopefully get a conviction, then that's what we should do. But if the best thing for the victim or our client is not to press charges or to file a police report, because they won't be able to manage it, or they're too vulnerable, or they won't be able to do it, then we won't do that. And then you get a lot of people going like, oh, but it's important to press charges. It is actually in like a societal context. It's very important to that people are brought to justice if they commit crimes. I agree with that totally, but that's on a whole different level. That's on a societal level, and not an individual level. And my job isn't society. I'm sorry, a little bit society, but my focus is always the individual, and I will always start there, and my decisions are always based on what's best for the individual. And sometimes it isn't to go to court. A lot of people have this hard because they get stuck, or so they get focused, or I would use the term stuck. They get stuck at the not political level, but they tend to get stuck at the principle level, i.e. someone shouldn't get away with the crime. That's why we should press charges. And I go like, absolutely, I agree with that. I don't disagree with that, but we can't burn our victims in the process. Then we're not doing our job, and our job is to look after the individual in this case. And if we go, we have different levels, but our the jobs I do are on the individual level, and then it is to do the right, to recommend them to do the best choices based on what's best where they are. And a lot of people don't like this because it's hard to see, but that's what I've learned from all my years working with this, and that's my story and sticking to it. No, but I can't really sacrifice the client's well-being to make a principle. Unless they really want to do that, then I will run it in absurdity as far as I can get. I will do that if it's right for them and they really want to do it, and they understand the consequences it might have on their personal life and their health. I will run it. No problem doing that. But I met a lot of people that made that choice and regretted it. So I can't I think the people should make informed decisions, and to make informed decisions, if you just go listen to the district attorney or the police investigator, they will always put it forward on almost my experience. Most of the times they will make it sound like the best idea is to go to court. And my experience isn't that it's always like that. And they don't get to see what happens afterwards. They don't get to see the broken person that I get to see sitting in front of me. They don't get to see the person who goes like, I shouldn't have done this. I can't stand this. I don't want to live anymore. And then maybe they fall back into heavy substance abuse and hide away from the earth, because then suddenly they made choices that they can't live with. And the victims maybe shouldn't have to end up in that situation. I totally agree with that. But the way things are in real life is that it's complicated. It's never easy, and I wish it was easy. And I wish it was that easy. I could always run sort of like a principle. I'm really principle. I have really strong principles, and I follow them a lot. But I won't sacrifice people for my principles, and I won't sacrifice my clients for society's principles. I will always urge clients to do what's best for them, and I will talk to them about that. So anyway, I will keep rambling. I'm gonna do this a little bit off screen, and then next time we'll probably go sell that load when it's full, and we will complete this field. So thank you. Sorry about the rambling about my job and my week, or day maybe rather. We'll see what we'll do next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Andy. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, leave a comment, or share. And I will see you soon. Bye bye.